Hello again. Today's video is going to be a little more straightforward than my standard type of video. I've been very busy recently with a lot of school stuff and events and all sorts of stuff, so I haven't quite had the time to sit down and do the stuff I've wanted. So I figured what better time than now to do something like a little tutorial, like a video game tutorial. This video is going to be focused on everything I've learned to squat the weight that I do today. I'll be rolling through all the things that I do to make sure I don't injure myself, even though I do anyways. So starting right off the bat, what you're seeing is basically standard warm-up of what I do every squat session. I typically do dynamic stretching, which is kinda in simplistic forms. You flare your legs around, you throw them around, spin them around, do jumping jacks, all types of weird flailing movements that increase blood flow to your legs specifically. It also helps kind of wake your body up a little bit, because if you were to go in cold turkey, your joints would kind of be like jump scared from that. So I do a lot of active dynamic stretching. Next in line, when I'm starting off with just the bar on my squat warm-up, you'll see that I kick off my shoes. This would be because I found that the shoes that I wear, it raises my heels a little bit, which can off-put my balance and put excess strain on joints and ligaments and muscles that I don't want to work as hard. So I've found that squatting barefoot personally works well for me because it helps me stay more balanced and controlled. You could also wear flat-footed shoes like Chuck Taylors or Vans. Those work as well. And now, as you notice while I'm prepping myself to pick up the bar, you'll notice that I'm going back and forth, going from tightening my back against the bar and then going out and going back in, going back out. This would be because my back is very tight when I start my session. So when I go in and out of the low bar squat form, because low bar is the form that I personally use, it's what powerlifters use, and so it's what I use. I use this method to loosen up my back, so that way when I'm squatting the weight, I don't stand up too straight. You'll see that I'm standing a little too straight on these low bar squats because my back's still just a little too tight. And as I'm gradually moving up these weights, you'll see that I am wearing knee sleeves. Knee sleeves from square one is primarily because I have some tendonitis going on and it's causing more inflammation, so using the knee sleeves increases blood circulation, which is helping my knees not hurt as much. But typically you'd start wearing your knee sleeves when it gets a little bit heavier. Now, you don't need knee sleeves, they're not a requirement, but they definitely help you keep your joints fresh. They keep your joints from feeling like they're about to split in twain like an earthquake. And so that is why I use knee sleeves. I would highly recommend you get some knee sleeves. You can get some from Walmart, Amazon. I mean, they all work kind of the same. Some are better than others. But anyways, as you're loading up, you might want to consider getting some knee sleeves. And as I'm gradually increasing the weight, I am adding my powerlifting belt. My belt it's a little on the expensive side. You could choose to get a belt if you want. Those little thin strippy belts, they don't really do too much for me or anyone in general. So I use a powerlifting belt, which keeps my back and spine from exploding from all the heavy weight. I also use these wrist straps that you're seeing right here. Whenever I'm trying to keep a tight grip on the bar, I'm using wrist straps so that way the wrist strain, it doesn't hurt my wrists too much, because it's very painful when your wrists are just raw out of the gates, especially if you're having the bar further down your back like on a low bar squat. So I personally use wrist straps to help my wrists out a little bit, give them a little helping hand, because boy oh boy did they need it. Now taking a look at my feet, you'll notice that I spread my feet out pretty wide You don't have to go quite as wide as I am. I'm going a little bit past shoulder width. You could do shoulder width. You could even do close stance squats, which do work your quads a little bit better. Just the range of motion is a lot higher, so you'd probably be a lot weaker on that. But the wider the stance, the less range of motion. And so I found that this wider stance helps me get heavier weights up. Ever since I widened my stance, my squat has jumped about 30-40 pounds from what it was before. And it is a little bit harder on your hip joints and your adductors initially, because it's not used to the tight, like your body's not used to the tightness that's being added in those locations. So occasional stretching and foam rolling those joints and adductors, abductors, all of that is very important. Otherwise, you're going to face excess tightness and strain that could lead to injury if you're not careful. I've had similar issues to this because I haven't stretched or foam rolled whenever I've squatted in the past. So I'd highly recommend you do that. If you pay attention, I go just at parallel. Sometimes I miss it by like maybe an inch or a little bit less, but general parallel is what you'd want to go for. You can go, quote, ass to grass, unquote, and it has its place. It's just, for me personally, I ended up injuring my glute and shooting my knee joints out to defy time and space, like more plates, more dates, whenever I'd go ass to grass. It puts a little more strain on some of those other joints and ligaments that I personally just didn't really want. It's great for some scenarios for like hypertrophy work, but for like heavier lifting, maxing out, powerlifting, any of that, it's a little too much if you're not careful. So you can squat ass to grass, but I personally squat parallel. And we don't do half squats around here. Half squats, that's a big no-no. Also, at the start of my squat, after I've unracked the weight, I've steadied myself, got my feet planted out. You'll notice that I take a deep breath in. You want to fill your body with as much air as you can, because that'll help you brace your core. Think of a half circle. Your stomach is a half circle. You want it to expand as much as it can. Doing that will help protect your spinal erectors, because your spinal erectors, they're at the squat's mercy. And if you're not careful, you could end up having a little snap, crackle, and pop. A little issue with your lower back. So bracing your core before you squat is very important. Now, you're gonna wanna brace your core at the start of each squat. You don't wanna hold your breath throughout the entire set, because you may black out or pass out. So yes, brace your core. I didn't show it here, but chalk is optional for those heavier sets, or maybe if you're trying to max out on the lift. If you put chalk on the bar, or also on your hands too, it'll help your grip. It'll help the bar stick to you. Personally speaking, from experience, I noticed when I was like squatting 4 plates, if I didn't have chalk, it would be a little trickier for me to get my reps up. But once I put that chalk on, it was like thick as steel. It was super tight, nice and easy, wasn't hard on my back or anything like that. So chalk does indeed help the bar stick to you. It isn't necessary, but it is, once again, highly recommended. And with that, this concludes my video of the tips, you could say tricks, all these things that I've learned over time from squatting that have led me from a 315 squat to a 4-plate squat to even a 465 squat. Now, in case you ever forget, you can come back to this video, or there is information online as usual. I'm sure you know to Google something. Google anything that tickles your brain, something that interests you. But yeah, if you ever forget, you can come back here. I hope you enjoyed this shorter video. I'm a little busy right now, as I stated before, so I'm just doing what I think would be pretty interesting, pretty informational. I do enjoy giving some context and information on some of the things that I'm doing. And with that said, leave a like if you want. You could subscribe if you want. It is your choice at the end of the day. I would appreciate it if you do, though. But with all of this being said, I hope you enjoy your day, whether it just began or it's about to end, or it's lunchtime, or you're eating brunch at Olive Garden or something like that. I hope you enjoy it. Goodbye.